Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Happy Thursday. Hope everyone is doing very well this morning. So here we are again, Thursday Tea and Toast. So if you haven't seen before, I'm Jasmin. I'm a conversation starter at the Yard. And as we say, every time we come online and do these things, the doors at the Yard are currently closed because of this horrendous pandemic we're going through. Hopefully not for much longer though. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but we are still open. So what we've done is moved our whole programme onto online, and you can catch us on different social medias, on Twitch, on YouTube. So don't miss out on what we're doing. You can come and join us in anything online that you see going on. Just let us know. So let me give a quick introduction to everyone, all the lovely faces I've got with us this morning. So first of all, Georgia, who's another conversation starter at the Yard with me. Good morning, lovely.
Good morning. How are you doing, Jasmin?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastically. As always, yes. I am a rose in the cap of this talk show.
Talk show. I feel like we're on Loose Women. Yes.
Don't do appears.
I'm not going to storm off and do appears, guys, okay? Unless my doorbell rings, because I did say to Georgia, I'm waiting for a parcel this morning and I've got to answer the door. So if I go, I'm not storming off doing a Piers Morgan, I'm just quickly answering the door. Okay, so we have got the lovely Pell, who is one of our university placement ladies. Good morning, lovely.
Good morning.
You okay?
Yes, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Last tea and toast today. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
It's emotional.
As my placement, it will be my last, but I'll try and come back as much as
please.
I can.
Yes, come back. Don't leave us. Don't leave us. And the same for the lovely Khadija. It's her last placement tea and toast this morning. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I hope everyone else is all well. Just like Pell said, I'll be coming back as well to join you guys.
Yay, thank you. And then we've got the lovely Lauren, another one of our university placement students.
Hello.
How are you this morning, Lars? You all right?
Good, thank you.
Good. And then we've got Laurel, who is our lovely volunteer. Good morning. You okay, Laurel?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, I'm all good today, thank you. I'm feeling bright and breezy. And last but by no means least, we have got Pete. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
What about Lauren?
I did
I'm
Lauren.
good. The sun's shining. The sun's shining.
I know. The sun's shining here as well. But just
the
before.
sun is shining in my eye at the moment.
Is it?
No. Did you guys not see the not awake? The storm kept me up last night.
We had the storm.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that.
5 days.
Yeah, we had a really bad storm last night. I was just telling these guys before you came on, I woke up this morning and went onto Facebook, and I can't tell you how many posts of like friends and friends of friends.
Really
their trampolines have gone flying out their gardens. Everyone's trampolines are gone.
Over the cars. And like my window, something happened to my window because it opened, and every time I kept shutting it, it kept opening. So my window broke. So literally
my windows were going to break.
So there. Oh
no.
But I'm still happy.
So you didn't get much sleep then?
No, not even in the slightest. And then my window, and then the window in the bathroom was open, and then that gushed everything, and then it opened my door. Oh, it's just, I got out of my bed about 4 times. It was so good.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was really.
I had similar. Literally, I went to bed at 1 a.m. normal time for me. Fell asleep, woke up at 2 a.m. Had to stick earplugs in, and went back to sleep. And after that, I was fine. But I had to put earplugs in, so it was too noisy. Wind was just keeping me awake. It was really annoying.
I know. Well, the thing is, although it's really nice and sunny here now, but the wind is still really bad. I was just saying to Georgia, I went on a dog walk before I came online this morning, and literally, when I got back through the door, my hair was literally I was like, oh my God, I need to sort that out. Can't go online like that. But yeah, it's a bit deceiving. It's lovely and sunny, but very, very windy.
Oh yeah.
But English British weather for you. Pardon?
Our phone services have gone down for the whole of yesterday.
No
one could call anyone in where I live because the I don't know what it's called, the signal.
I know what you're on about.
It broke. Yeah, it stopped working.
You still got internet and stuff?
Yeah, we still have internet, but it was just like, you know, like O2 and those phone servers.
Oh, okay.
They just went down. Yeah.
The signal had gone down, I think is what it's called.
Ah. Wow, honestly. Yeah. The storms. And Pete, you had a bad storm, you said last night, like hurricane level.
Terrible. Yeah, terrible. So we're about five miles from the coast where we are. So we link into the on the internet. There's a famous lighthouse called Fastnet. I don't know whether you've heard of it, but it's known around the world. But they give you a 3-minute constant update on the wind speed. So at one point, I just had to stop looking at it because it was really scary as it was going up.
Oh, wow.
And it was hurricane level when it about 3 in the morning. Hurricane level.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, no trampolines. they all went on the last storm. It made me laugh, Jasmine, when you mentioned trampolines, because every time we always get a warning for storms. So like in the UK, they'll give you a yellow, orange, red. So the first thing they say is, please tie down your trampolines and slides. So you always get a warning, but then after the storm on Facebook, there's always pictures of slides on the motorway, you know, trampolines and. It just tickled me because we always get a warning and nobody does it. You know?
Yeah.
Where do these trampolines come from? I mean, they all get broken, but there must be this sort of endless pot of trampolines and.
Wow, do you know? Obviously, because I've got 2 younger kids and they love the trampoline. So we're now on our 4th trampoline because. Things keep happening, so you know either the kids break it, we've had them blow through the wind. So luckily we bought them a new one about a week ago and it's still in the box in the garage.
In the box in the garage.
Has been blown away through the wind.
Not this one, because the one we haven't got one in the garden at the moment because the last one got taken down because the kids broke it. So we bought a new one, but luckily we haven't put it up yet because we haven't had time, so it's still in the box in the garage. But we have had our trampoline blown from the wind before, and I'm talking like a big sort of like 12-foot trampoline. It's a huge one.
But like how
half over like the neighbours'
oh gosh,
fence and stuff. Yeah.
Oh no.
It's ridiculous. Honestly, it is ridiculous how these. Oh, I didn't get involved in that, Lauren. My husband went and dealt with that. I was like, Sam,
Lauren,
the trampoline's gone.
What you do, Lauren, is you don't own up to owning it. Yeah, it's not mine. It's nothing to do with me. You just get a new one.
Yeah. That's why we've been through so many, Pete. Every time I'm like, kids, pretend it's not ours. I'll buy you a new one.
Don't write your name on it. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, trampoline gate. Honestly, once you've all got kids, you younger ladies, trampoline gate.
Oh yeah.
It's
the future.
It's a funny old one. Yeah, honestly.
That'll be
the best thing you'll be buying.
Trampolines.
I know.
You'll be talking about trampolines and wind. That's the 2 things you'll talk about when you get older.
Pete, we're so old. We're so old, honestly.
Not as old as me.
Excitement.
It's great.
The excitement. Oh, okay. Well, let's move on from trampolines then, because I think we might be losing some of these through the boredom of it. Pete and I could chat about it all day, but you know, we don't want to lose everyone that's watching us. Definitely. Okay, so to start us off this morning, we normally do like a bit of internal weather. So I don't know if anyone was watching us yesterday. I was talking about how do people like their tea, how do people take their toast, and everyone's got like different preferences. So this morning, we've got a couple of photos we're going to show you. And Lauren, you're probably going to struggle on this because I know you don't drink tea, do you?
I like herbal tea.
Okay. That might be sufficient.
It's not going to help. No.
Yeah, you might just have to.
It might be time for me to confess to you all that I absolutely hate tea. Always have.
Me too.
Coffee.
No.
Coffee is the future.
I don't really drink tea either.
Absolutely
Coffee is
not.
the future.
No, I disagree, Pete. Sorry.
Right.
Tea, hate coffee.
Off you go.
Shall I just go?
Tea and toast.
Come on.
Do a fizz. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's actually gone.
I did that.
Oh my god.
You, Georgia, was it?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
This is how you find out who your friends are really quickly on Tea and Toast.
Wait.
Yeah.
My heart dropped, man.
It's just a bit of fun.
Honestly, did you think then, pal, that we'd really offended him and he'd gone?
Yeah.
He just left.
Sorry.
Yeah, he did appears. Okay, right, Georgia, let's stick these photos up. So, if you don't drink tea, does everyone eat toast?
Yeah.
Well, we're doing tea first.
Too much.
Okay.
Guys.
So, out of this chart, for those of us who drink tea, obviously down the left-hand side, it's labelled A to F, and then across the top, you can't quite see it, but it's 1 through to 6. I want everyone to tell us what cup of tea would be your choice.
I can tell you mine straight away.
Yeah, I think mine.
Mine's here. Mine's
So
F2.
You're F2?
Yeah.
F2.
Okay. What are you, Khadija?
I think I'd be either C5. Yeah, C5. I think it is
C5. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Pal?
I think I'd be like 4D.
4D.
Yeah.
D4. Yeah.
D4,
I'm gonna be C4.
Some of them look really similar.
I'm C4.
Yeah.
I think it's meant to be like strength and then milkiness, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm C4 as well.
Lauren's C4 as well. Lauren, me and you are always the same. Pete, if you had to choose a cup of tea, what would you go for?
I'd be anything on row F, probably towards the end there.
Really?
Yeah. No milk. Yeah.
Oh no.
What I want to know is how many of you take sugar in your tea and how much sugar?
2 sugars.
Teaspoons.
2 sugars.
One teaspoon.
I do half a teaspoon. Not even half, less than half.
Sometimes not the whole bit.
I have 2 sweeteners.
Sorry.
Aren't sweeteners more sweet than actual sugar though?
Wait, how many spoons do you have, Lauren, of sugar?
About 3.5.
My dad has 3.5 as well.
Hold on. What was that?
3.5.
3.5.
Oh, 3.5. I thought you said 14.5.
No. I'm trying to be healthier. So, like in my herbal tea, I have honey instead, and I only have 2 teaspoons of honey instead of sugar.
Wow.
Sugar wouldn't really work. Sugar wouldn't really
healthy.
work in a herbal tea, would it? I think honey's the right thing to take, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tea.
My husband has honey and coffee.
Does he?
You know.
I've not heard that. That's
Oh, I know, it's weird. I don't like it. Laurel, if you had to pick a cup, what would you be?
I think I'd have to go. My parents would have, think about a D4. My parents would have
D4.
Yeah,
that's a good cup of tea. Definitely.
Oh, Bianca.
Laurel.
in for tea. I think I'd have to go.
Bianca.
Hey, Bianca.
Hey, Bianca.
He's having her tea now, maybe.
A good cup of tea.
Which one is it?
Definitely.
What would be the perfect?
Bianca, you need to turn your thing off because we can hear it.
Hey, Bianca. We can hear ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it.
You can't now.
Sorry, Pete.
As a non-tea drinker, what would be the perfect cup of tea in your mind? Is there something, a cup of tea that would appeal to anybody? If that makes sense.
You can't have the bagging.
What should
it
be?
Yeah.
Just bag in,
bag out. Too long.
Yeah, same.
Are you joking?
You may as well just have milk.
You know.
You may as well just have watery milk.
No, the bag has to be in for 30 seconds and then you have to take it out.
I steep my tea for 5 minutes.
I thought I was the only one, okay.
There is historically, because of how tea was made and stuff, it should be put in a teapot and you should always put the milk in first, because historically China used to be so fragile, but if you put the hot water in the cup, it would break the cup. So actually, the correct way to make a cup of tea is first.
My mum does that, yeah.
Yeah, my mum does that sometimes.
My parents don't do that. Do it the other way around.
Yeah, and you need at least 2 tea bags in that pot. Yeah, and that's how it starts. I know Lauren's looking a bit disappointed with that whole new news. It's the way it will.
I think that's quite cool though. I didn't know that. But I actually don't know how to make tea. Like, my mum won't let me make.
You don't know how to make tea?
I do know how to make tea, but not good tea, because she won't let me make her tea. She just cusses me. It's not even tea.
I can make
Making a bad cup of tea is like the worst insult. If someone gives me a bad cup of tea, I can't look at you the same way. I can't look at you.
How tea really good.
Well, I'm going to be really nervous now, Georgia, because when we actually do get down into the yard, I'm going to be so scared making you a cup of tea now. I'm going to be like nervous wreck. Oh my God.
Do you know what, Jasmin? You should be. You should be very afraid.
Or actually, maybe it'll be you making the teas.
But there seems to be a real science behind it, doesn't there? A real sort of science behind making
a cup of tea.
But also, when you're making a cup of tea, think about the history. Tea has quite a long history, doesn't it? Certainly with the UK. So it'd be interesting to look at that. I remember a story of off the coast where I live in Ireland. There's some inhabited islands, and they've been inhabited for years. And there was one island. It's called Blasket Island, and they were quite remote from the mainland, and they never seen tea ever. Wow. You just didn't get it. And then there was a shipwreck one day, and these cases were washed ashore. And so they opened the cases. They had fruit, sugar, but they had this really strange leafy-like sort of substance in one of the cases. Of course, nobody knew what it was. Or they tried to make bread out of it, thinking it was sort of a flour. Tasted horrible, so they just got rid of it. It was only later on when somebody from the mainland came on and actually demonstrated that this thing that they had was a drink. You make a drink out of it, and it was worth a small fortune as well.
Oh wow!
No, but it just shows you, doesn't it? It just made me laugh as a non-tea drinker. Again, I would have thrown it in straight away. Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's all this history around it, and and it was quite valuable. Not that long ago, people traded in it rather than use it as currency, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
I thought about it.
I'm really glad you were talking about it. I've popped on and no one respected me, but I just wanted to highlight something, and then I'm going to vanish back into the computer world. Today is March the 11th, and it's a significant day for Community Courtyard in some ways, because it is Ron Todd's, what would have been his 94th birthday. For those of you watching this who don't know, Community Courtyard was actually set up 10 years ago now in memory of Ron Todd. So Ron Todd was a former trade union leader of the Transport and General Workers Union, which is now Unite the Union. It was the biggest union back then. It's the biggest union now. And Ron Todd was a project that Community Courtyard delivered. And over the years, it became so big, it's now charity in its own right. But that doesn't mean that Community Courtyard forgets our history, because we're all about history, as Pete was talking, even with our cups of tea. Everything we do, we're looking about what happened in the past in order to make good decisions for the future. So I just want to remind people that today, we've got the annual Ron Todd Lecture and Awards. Yeah, and that's where we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of some really pretty remarkable people from right across the UK. And at Community Courtyard, we like a good story, don't we, Khadija? You're often reading to me, pal. Laurel's often showing me her stories in the gaming world. I know that we're a community of storytellers, and the Ron Todd Foundation does that too. So this evening at 7 o'clock, we're going to be joined by some brilliant, what we call comrades. And that's a name for people who are trade unionists or activists or community organisers. And we use that word because language is important. Our history is important. So we're going to be live on the Ron Todd Foundation page. We'll make sure the link is here as well. But we've got some great messages, so it's worth checking out the Ron Todd Foundation page throughout the day, because we've got general secretaries from the unions sending their solidarity, sending messages, sharing their stories about Ron. And so I'm hoping that those of you who may be watching this might be interested to hear about, for example, Bianca Ali, who's a young person in Wales who's doing some really great stuff for Black Lives Matter, or Mike Jackson, who is a phenomenal LGBTQ plus activist, and you might have seen a few films that he inspired over the years. Kate Hudson, who is General Secretary of CND, because now more than ever, we need a world free of nuclear weapons. So we don't even own nuclear weapons. America owns the nuclear part of the weapon. So it's not like we could even do it today. We couldn't even press the button. We'd have to get the bomb from America over, which sounds absolutely ridiculous. We wouldn't buy a car if it had no wheels. And yet we do the same with our nuclear weapons. And we've got some really brilliant people going to be there tonight. So if you don't know about the history of Community Courtyard, check it out. If you do know, keep following, keep involved. And I'm enjoying the conversation about the tea. I'm going to go make myself another cup now. Probably, not sure what level is, but it's going to be weak and not strong enough for Pete. It's going to be disgusting if it's not coffee, but these are the worlds that we live in. These are difficult times. Coffee, and how does it work? But hopefully,
people can change, you know.
Don't tell me that. But the other thing,
people can change.
The other thing I think is really important as we remember Ron's legacy today is, especially when we're thinking of reclaiming the night because of the murder of Sarah last night was announced by the police officer, and that fight for social justice continues. It was something that Ron was really passionate about. It's something that Community Courtyard and the Ron Todd Foundation is really passionate about. And we will look to chat to other organisations in Northampton, whether we organise a vigil on Saturday evening, along with other places across the UK, to show that it's not women who should be changing what they will look like, what they wear, how we walk. It's men. Stop killing us. Stop raping us. Stop doing this. This is nothing. We can't stop it. It's only men who can stop doing this. Yeah, so we need to reclaim our streets quite vigorously. But our thoughts and hearts go out to those people today. But it is very appropriate to have the Ron Todd Awards today as the fight for social injustice continues. So in the words of a trade unionist, solidarity, brothers and sisters. And I will see you with my Community Courtyard hat on another day. Right, stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, there we go.
I'm shocked by that.
There you go. So that's 7 p.m. tonight. So if you go to the Ron Todd Foundation page on Facebook, we'll put the link in the comments down there, and you'll be able to click through on that and then watch it. It should be really exciting, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's one to watch later for sure. Now, sort of leading on for what ties in quite nicely, really, from what Bianca was talking about, and about injustice and things going on in our world. I'm really interested to find out what you guys all think about the NHS, the pay cut, about them, not being able to have the pay rise that they deserve. How does everyone feel about that?
I think it's absolutely disgraceful. I'm so angry. I don't think I've been this angry for a while. I actually did some research this morning, and so I've got in like a little post-it note there. That's how dedicated I've been to this. And I found, so on the website for the government, there's like a list of Excel spreadsheets that go through the expenses and the allowances that each MP spends over the year. So, play a little game. Over 2019-2020, how much collectively do you think the MPs spent?
In what are we doing? Are we doing this in pounds? Are we doing in £1 million?
Pounds.
Wow.
It's going to be a lot because
it's a lot. I wouldn't even know where. I honestly couldn't put a figure on it because I have absolutely no idea.
Just guess.
About 30 million quid.
What was that, Lauren?
About 30 million quid.
I can't hear what you're saying, sorry.
She said 30 million.
Oh, 30 million?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else?
Lauren said, can we have a multiple choice kind of thing?
Choice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make up some numbers.
Or could you just tell us?
I don't have a random list. Yeah. Okay, so is it 200 million? Is it 3 million? Is it 50 million? Is it 127 million?
Is one of those the right answer?
So it's either 3 million, 127 million, 50 million, or
200.
I'll go for 50 million.
I'm going to go for 50.
50.
I'm going to go for something so it's really random. I'm going to say 127. No one said that.
I'm going to be the weirdo and go with 200 just because they do spend a lot of money.
Okay, go on, Pearl.
Yeah, 50.
What are you saying, Jasmine?
I'm going to go 127 million.
Okay, and now I can reveal to you that in 1 year, MP spent a whopping £127 million.
Jasmine, you're right.
Ding 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 ding.
And I've got the spreadsheets. Okay, so I've got the receipts.
Crazy! Oh my god.
Do you know?
That's 1 year.
And that's on expenses in 1 year. But I'm just thinking what you said, Jasmine, a minute ago about you can't even imagine, can you? Or guess what they've spent on it. And the thing is, 127 million. I can't imagine what that actually looks like and what you'd spend it on.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot more.
Do you know what I mean? You know, when you get into the big numbers, people almost sort of give up thinking about it. And I think that's how they get away with those large numbers. If you spent like £20,000, I could work that one out in my head.
Yeah.
Every year, yeah, okay. But large figures, I think most people struggle with trying to work out what that actually is and what it means. And that's outrageous because what's their salary?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say.
Their salary, a base salary is just under £82,000 a year. And
the fact that their salary is 82,000, but then NHS workers, some are 75 and 40.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, I know that's quite low, but or you have students, who maybe in their third year going off doing placements that have been doing more because of COVID, and then they're going and graduating and going, and it's just like that is a joke. Why?
So here I'm about to say something that's going to enrage you even further.
Oh no!
So I just put up the little spreadsheet because I wanted to make sure that I got this correct. So you know how I just told you that their base salary is £82,000 a year.
Mm.
Yeah.
They get extra money for their accommodation. So, for example, one MP spent £22,920 on his accommodation for the year.
The weird thing is
that's on top of his £82,000 a year base salary.
Not only that, Georgia, but you used the term base salary, right? Which is, I've written this down, 82,000. But if you're an MP and you're given a senior role, like a cabinet role, you get an uplift. So you get a base salary. It's like salespeople, isn't it? They get like a basic salary and then they make their money on commission. So not only are you getting your 82 grand, you've got your cut of the 127 million expenses, your accommodation. But if you get a positioning as a minister, you've got another uplift. So I'm sure, Georgia, you could find that out.
Yeah, I'll find it out now.
Just something while it's in my head. Lauren's just mentioned something about NHS workers. So, what did you say the salary was, Lauren?
I know, because I googled it last night. It's 24 grand is the starting wage for a newly qualified nurse. It's 24 grand, so it's only 2 grand higher than an MP's. One of these MPs that Georgia just mentioned there. Accommodate.
Yeah, but Laurel, on top of that, though, if you're a nurse, so you've got your salary, but you're having to pay extra for things like parking. So registration. So I've got
midwives. It's like 100 quid a year.
Two of my sister-in-laws are nurses, and they one of them works in neonatal, so looking after premature babies. She pays for the privilege of going to work. She doesn't have expenses. She pays her own car, petrol.
Disgusting.
She pays parking, which is ridiculous. It's £12 a day. That's out your wages.
£12 a day.
By Georgia, I'm really angry now. Georgia's told me 127 million for a year on expenses. When the people that are saving lives are paying, don't get that, do they? You're
makes
paying
absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Is it?
It's too much.
Yeah,
it
definitely is.
They should cut down taxes and put the money that they're giving to the royal family and all that taxes, and go give it to the NHS workers. But that's a joke.
So,
I mean, can you imagine if you're...
The Prime Minister has apparently claimed in 2019 £154,908.
Expenses.
I think that's his salary, but that's on top of all the other things that he has.
I mean, I guess the thing that we're thinking about here is that... So let's give the pandemic that we've just been through. So we clapped for these people who we called our heroes, these people who were saving lives, who were putting their own lives at risk. And actually, over the past year, so many NHS workers have actually lost their lives to this pandemic.
Like 860 or something bonkers.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, but when it comes to this, they're not good enough. They don't deserve a pay rise. But our politicians feel comfortable taking that money, knowing that half the time they're just sat in a blimmin'... honestly, this is just outrageous. How was this allowed to happen? Was it us guys the other day, or was it from someone else, where a nurse got awarded a badge?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell Pete about that, Georgia. Tell Pete about that.
So I'm in a nurses kind of union NHS kind of group on Facebook, because I wanted to get some information from them, because I thought, I can only speak to this from someone who doesn't work in the NHS. So I wanted to know, is the news portraying how they feel as how they feel, or is it different? And this lady, she posted that at work she was awarded this badge, like little like one of those
green badge.
With
care written on it.
Yeah, they basically said like COVID hero or something like that. And and she said it was just an absolute insult, just insult to injury. Like, not only are you giving us this I mean, it's a pay cut effectively, because it's not rising with the rate of inflation. So it's a pay cut, and then you're giving them badges.
No,
it is an insult, isn't it? And then Matt Hancock will stand there, the Secretary of Health will stand there and I remember seeing him holding one of these badges up. We're giving every care worker one of these badges. Nonsense. What I find quite refreshing, George, is you just said you wanted to look at whether the mainstream news is actually telling you the right story. So you're doing your own research as well, and you're not taking for granted what like the BBC tell you, for example. So I think that's a habit we should all get into. Is have a look
honestly, this group on Facebook, it's been breaking my heart, to tell you the truth, over the last week, because it's one thing to see people on TV who are doing these little interviews, where it's like they've obviously been given like a brief, they've been told what they can and can't say to a certain degree, and all of this. And it's different to actually see these people posting almost on a daily basis all over the country saying how they want to strike, but they feel like they can't because no one's going to look after their patients. So even faced with this absolute insult, they're still thinking about their patients first. And then I've also seen some doctors and some GPs in the group basically saying, look, I hope that I speak for all the doctors that you know, but we will actually take over those jobs. Like, we will take over the nurses' jobs if you decide to strike, because it's absolutely unacceptable. And you shouldn't have to feel like you're, you know, almost guilted or emotionally blackmailed to not being able to strike, because it's your right to strike if you don't.
And that's what the government's always banked on, isn't it? Because, you know, the medical profession, it's more than just a job, isn't it? You know, you go into it because you really want to care for people, you want to help people. The last thing you want to do is to walk away and leave somebody in pain or potentially dying. And this is why in the NHS, what's even worse, what's even more insulting with the 1%, is a lot of nurses and doctors actually work 3 hours. So if you've come to the end of your shift, you stay an hour later to make sure that person's okay.
Yeah, Laurel, what did you want to say? You've been there with your finger up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm reading a news article about what Pete was just saying, and I think they said that I can't remember exactly the exact figure, but I think it was like 128 million pounds that nurses have worked over like periods of time of just looking after patients. And also I follow quite a lot of doctors on Twitter, and mostly Twitter, but literally so many have been like saying, like doctors have been saying, like some of our nurses have to go to food banks just to keep their family afloat. They have to literally, they go to like really ends of the earth just to keep going, and it's really, really annoying that the government can't see it. Like, it drives me insane, because I want to get in that business. I don't want to be a doctor or a nurse. Don't say that. I'm not being bad about it, but I want to get into that sort of thing. And it seems that the government doesn't really care about us, which is odd. When they saved Boris's life at the start of the year.
I know.
Well, it seems to be, well, that's all very quickly forgotten, doesn't it? I mean, my little sister, she's a nurse. She's actually a mental health nurse and works in St Andrews. And over this pandemic, they were so short-staffed because so many of their patients had COVID. Then the staff then caught COVID because they didn't have enough PPE and hand sanitizer. But the shit, pardon?
I heard that sometimes bin bags because they didn't have enough PPE.
But honestly, the hours, the shifts that she was doing over her 12-hour shift that she was supposed to be doing, she'd be doing like a 17-hour shift. And I say to her, well, why are you doing that long? She said, we haven't got the staff. I can't just go and leave my patients. And I think we said this before when we've been speaking about nurses and things. It really does take a special sort of someone to be able to dedicate their life to that profession, because it's more than just a job. That you don't. It's not like you just clock in, do your hours, clock out. It takes over your life. So these special sort of people aren't worthy of the pay rise that they deserve. That's basically what the government is saying.
And then on top of that, so since this has been announced, like the pay cut and all of this, so now the government are actually digging their heels in, and they're backing it up. Like today or yesterday, I think it was, one of the lords who work for the Department of Health, whatever, he was saying that they're paid enough. And I was thinking, can you imagine? Your people, like if you work for the Department of Health, these are essentially your employees, the people who work under you. And you're saying that if they have to go to a food bank, or if they end up losing their home, or if they can't feed their families, if they can't do all these things, then that's okay because they get paid enough. Well, you're sat there claiming expenses on Kit Kats and bloody lamps and whatever it was. Do you remember that scandal from like years ago, and like someone claimed like £700 on antique lamps or something like that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Go because it's random.
There was a couple of Gary Russell on Facebook there. He just posted a couple of really interesting points there. And I think what the 1% offer does as well is quite dangerous, because you're going to have, as Gary's just said here, you've got nurses and doctors at breaking point, both physically and emotionally. And there's a lot of talk now about a lot of people leaving the profession. There's a lot of nurses
want to leave.
Yeah.
So I know.
Not only have we got people are broken, so if you've had COVID, you don't really want to go back and get it again. If you're going back, there's a chance you can get. So a lot of people will leave. Also, in terms of recruiting new people, so trying to recruit people like Laurel, who's indicated should be interested in being a nurse, why would you go and do that job when you're undervalued, underpaid, and there's a chance of being broken physically and mentally? So already the NHS is 50,000 nurses short, 50,000 places not filled. So I think the 1%, not only is it a kick in the teeth to nurses already there, it's quite dangerous if you're trying to recruit new people in. I know a couple of people who are paramedics. They work in Tesco's now. A, because the hours are better. B, because the pay's pretty good. And C, they're more likely to be able to get home, intact and healthy.
That's a real sad state of affairs. There's just no incentive for for our youngsters to join the medical profession in that sense as a nurse, because like you just said, Pete, it all seems to be going against you, not for you. So why would you even put yourself through that?
Sorry. I was just going to say, like what Pete just said, our public health lecturer last year told us that she has a friend who was like she was working in the hospital. She had a really big role as well, but now she works at Waitrose, because she says that she gets paid better and she has a much easier life. So what Pete said kind of just reminded me of what my lecturer said. It's quite a shame.
Sorry. Good. I've also got a friend as well who's training to be a nurse. She's at university, and she often contacts me because she's also emotionally affected by all of this. She's worried about her future and if she would be stable. And but she's trying to remember that her passion for helping people is the reason why she applied to do this. But obviously, with everything going on, it is impacting her emotionally. But I really feel for her.
I think on top of that, if you want to get into the medical profession, and you guys will understand this, won't you? That you start to do your degree, and by the time you've graduated and gone into work as a nurse, you're 80 grand in debt, aren't you, already, because of your tuition fees and your cost of living whilst you're studying. So you would understand that, wouldn't you, more than I would? When I was younger, it was free education, but to ask people to come in and do a dangerous job, be treated badly, paid badly, but also you're starting your life is ahead of you with 80 grand's worth of debt. That's just ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. And you'd be paying that off I don't know, the rest of your life.
Something needs to change is how I feel. And I know that there are a few plans in the works. I know that some unions, such as I believe it's either Unite.
Wife is having they're going to do they're looking into striking. They are.
Yeah, they're looking into doing strikes, and they've already set up like a £35 million fund. So if nurses end up losing income, that they won't suffer because of it. But then also, I think either Unite or Unison are planning on having a slow clap on Thursday.
I was going to say, tonight.
So it would be tonight.
I had that written down. They want everyone to do a slow clap tonight, as we did before clapping for them, but to sort of, to show our solidarity, I guess. What do you guys think to that? Will you go out and do that?
I don't know, like, I feel like in a way, when we're clapping for them, it's in a way like offending them. You know? I just feel like I mean, it's nice because we're like giving them that attention, but in a way, it's also like offending because my clap is not going to give them money. My clap isn't going to make their mental health better.
Yeah.
My clap isn't going to make them sleep well at night, you know.
Well, this is it. And I think we have heard, I know myself, I've heard quite a few times over the past couple of weeks or whatnot saying, don't clap for us. As lovely as it was during that pandemic, we don't want the clapping now. What we want is the actions.
Yeah, like I didn't clap in the first place. I have several mates that work in the NHS or in the care service, and they said it was completely odd people clapping for us because they just see it's normal. They say saving lives is just a normal thing to them because it. But they don't say the point of clapping. There doesn't change anything. Like my point for not clapping was it doesn't change anything. If you're gonna do something, change something. Try and change something. Clapping doesn't change anything. It gives the MPs a bit of rap that the public have followed what they said and they're clapping, but it doesn't change anything.
I think that with the
what's quite interesting. Georgia mentioned a strike. Georgia mentioned a strike fund, didn't you, by one of the unions? 35 million that's been put aside. But what's quite interesting, that union is the Royal College of Nursing, which has a track record of never going on strike. They just don't do it. But if they're talking in that language now and they've put a substantial amount of money aside, if I was Boris, I'd really be worried because this is a group of people that normally behave themselves generally, don't really want to rock the boat. They don't take direct action like strikes, for example. But if they're talking those terms, people have had enough, haven't they? So I think that's quite an interesting development there, where you've got groups of people who are quite moderate, who actually have been pushed so far. You can only push people so far, can't you, really, until they decide enough's enough. And I think they've probably got to that point. What I predict is that Boris will go, do you know, we've listened to you, we've listened to your slow clap on Thursday. We've decided to not give them 1%, we'll give them 2%. And that will look like 2%'s nothing as well, is it? 2%'s rubbish as well. I think that you need at least 15% pay rise to sort of bring you up, because we've had years of really bad pay rises as well. People forget 10, 15 years of constant underfunding of the NHS is behind it as well.
Yeah, I think
it's got to be a substantial pay rise.
Definitely.
I don't think my MP's going to be very interested in lobbying him. Don't think so.
I think Gary's got a good point in that we've got to pressurise people, haven't we? But Georgia.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What Gary's saying here is about lobbying your local MPs is absolutely correct, and also if you are part of a union, to maybe speak to them about things that could be done, whether you can support nurses and NHS workers in any way, and to look at your local hospital and see if they're deciding on whether to do any strikes, and if so, how can you support them and how can you show solidarity with them.
Does anyone know, is Northampton got anything in mind for striking? I haven't seen anything.
I've heard it being mentioned, and I think that so I'm involved with TUSC, which is the Trade Unionists and Socialist Coalition, and we're talking about supporting them. So if they do like a picket line or something like that, then we would probably go and join them to show solidarity. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that everyone keeps up to date with that and see what you can do.
So just again asking, and this might sound like a really silly question, are we allowed to do that in where we are in lockdown if a strike was to happen?
Technically you're going to get a fine, but technically also some of these fines aren't wrote in statutory law, I think, as far as I know. So technically the fine doesn't mean anything. So they're just going to give you out something that you can't get paid for. You don't have to pay. So.
There was a nurse, the person who organised the Manchester strikes, protests. the other day was fined 10 grand, but that was raised in under 2 hours on crowdfunder. So the group I was telling you about, the nurses, and so they were literally blasting it in there and saying, look, this is out of order. So that was raised in 2 hours.
Wow.
2 hours.
Yeah.
That's good.
10 grand.
Yeah, and that was literally just people putting in like 20 quid. So it wasn't even like one donor gave 10 grand. Like it was literally like hundreds of people putting in 20 quid or 10 quid or,
Yeah.
So that goes to show like the really, the level of solidarity that the whole of the NHS is feeling at the moment. So even if you work for the NHS and you don't feel like you're in a position to strike, please let us know how we can help to support you and give us your opinions. I'm talking about this from someone who doesn't work in the NHS, so I really want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, Gary's just said, sorry, go on, Lauren.
I feel like, because I feel like you have some issues such as like feminism or LGBTQ or even Black Lives Matter, but there's not necessarily like a unity, like if there was to be a strike out about it, the whole country would be in unison over it, if that makes sense, in like all agreeing, okay, we're going to go and make the difference and make sure that this goes. But I feel like with this issue, with the NHS, there is a unity, no matter who, and it's like, even immigrants, like a lot of immigrants come over because NHS is free over here. You don't have to pay for it. Yeah. And it's like, I think there will be unity. You don't even have to be in the health profession, but people will support. And if Georgia, you just gave that thing where 10 grand was raised in 2 hours, and this is just for Manchester, I really think that if nurses across the nation were to go on strike, I think the whole nation would rally behind them in supporting and raising the fares until Boris gets a grip and, makes a difference, decides to do something and make a change, because it is a joke and it's something that's seen.
Well, I guess the thing, completely agree with you there, Lauren. And I guess as well, the NHS is something that affects all of us because we all use it. It's not just targeted at a specific group, is it? We all use the NHS. So this actually, like you say, affects every single one of us in that it's something that we use, and we then have to support the staff who make that happen, don't we? Surely. I mean, there can't be many people that are sitting there going, well, actually, apart from Boris and his little minions, but sitting there and going, do you know what? 1% is all right. That's what they deserve.
1%
Surely.
is all right.
No, but that's what I mean. There can't be that many people. There must be a very, very small minority to think that. The bigger amount, the larger amount of the population is surely going to be as, angered and frustrated as we all are, thinking this is so wrong.
Absolutely. And I suppose there's also been talks of like, well, they're doing this deliberately to show the strain on the NHS so they can continue to sell it off and privatise it. So eventually we won't have a national health service because they'll say, well, the national health service isn't working. But the fact of the matter is, it'll be their fault that it doesn't work because they're not funding it properly. So they're basically trying to gaslight us into thinking, oh, well, this clearly is, maybe we need to think about, better ways of doing this and so on and so forth, so they can trick us into, having to pay through the nose, go into debt because you need cancer treatment or because someone you love was rushed to hospital, heart surgery, exactly, Laurel. So that's what I think. I think this is all part of the main, game to pressure and basically make the NHS crack.
Yeah, I think you're right, Georgia. It's a classic. If you break it and make it not work, you come in with an alternative. So you say, right, NHS isn't working. However, my mate runs a private medical firm that can get your operation tomorrow. NHS, you have to wait 12 weeks. So people in their heads think the NHS is broken, and it's not. It's just been underfunded, hasn't it? I mean, where I am in Ireland, you have to pay for healthcare here. So if I go to my doctor for a 15-minute consultation, it costs me €50, which is about 45 quid.
Wow.
That's before you talk about any treatment, any medicine. There is a limit on it. So it's sort of here in Ireland, it's halfway there. It's sort of part privatised. So you pay up to a limit. But, you know, my nearest hospital is 40 miles away. So, you know, I have to travel there. So I've got all those costs as well. But if I want if there's anything serious, I've got to go to Cork, which is the nearest city. It's 2 hours away. And that's if I can get in and if I can afford it. So a lot of people here, for minor ailments, you don't go to your doctor because it's going to cost you. So a lot of people will sit and go, do you know what, I'll give it a few days and I'll get better. And that's having an impact with COVID as well. So a lot of people will go, although the COVID test is free, people will sit and think, do you know what, I'll wait because it's only a cold. You know, if I go to the doctor. So that's what's coming. That's what's happening to the NHS. And you're right, Georgia. That's the game, isn't it? Break it, and then you fill it in with privatisation. And it's not. People don't understand this. It's all done by stealth, isn't it? You'll go to bed on Friday. You wake up on Saturday, and it'll be privatised before you know it. So I think our role is to make people aware of what's happening. So it's bigger than the 1% pay rise. It's creeping privatisation, isn't it? In addition to everything.
I get PIP, which is the personal independence payment. Yeah, and I think Laura does as well.
Yeah.
And that was one of my first experiences of something that had actually been privatised in a sense.
And they did you on the phone. Hey, you.
They did a documentary or something on Channel 4, I think it was, and it showed that basically the people who are working for this company, they have to go out and do the assessments to see whether people should get personal independence payment. So there was this recorded conversation. This guy didn't know he was being recorded, and he was basically telling them that their main job was to make sure that the least amount of people could get this payment.
Really?
They hate you. Literally say, can you, one of the questions is, can you walk 200 meters? Like, can you walk 200 meters? Can you boil an egg? Can you build a kettle? Can you, this is the questions they ask you on the form. It's really stupid questions. I can boil an egg, but I can't cook. Then one of the things is, can you cook a meal? And when they mean cook a meal, they mean a hot meal. So I had to put no for that question because I don't do hot meal. I can't cook hot meals. That's just a thing I know I have to improve on. That means they say I can't cook. So
when I did, so I had it for 4 years from 2016 till this year, and then today they do a thing where they kind of ring you up and see whether you're still at the same kind of level of need or whether you deserve more or less or whatever. So I had this phone call, and oh my god, it was the most just ridiculous because my condition has gotten a lot worse, but the way that she was phrasing the questions was could you walk X far? And I said, yeah, but I'm going to need either my mobility scooter, my wheelchair, or a rollator.
And it's going to take me. They just said yes bit and that's it.
Yeah, so so they're like, oh, can you walk down the street? And I said, well, I can, but it's going to take me 10 minutes to do it. I'm not going to be able to walk back to the house because my legs are going to be in agony and this, that, and the other. And she was just going, okay, yeah, I'll say that you can do that then.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh my god!
And literally every question is like this. I was saying, she said about the shower. And she said, can you shower? And I said, yeah, but I need help sometimes getting dressed afterwards because I'm so exhausted that I actually physically need help. I have to sit down. And she was just like, okay, so you can look after yourself.
Oh, my goodness.
But these people who do the assessments are not medical professionals, are they?
No.
They say they have one medical professional on. I had help writing mine as well, and I have technically three disabilities, and I literally had 3 different pages of what I couldn't do. It's how to be like these assessments are like trying at the best of times, but just how to point out all your little things that they say you can't do, and it's really depressing. After that, I like
and then at the end of it, you get like an extra 50 quid or 60 quid a week.
Yeah.
So it's not even like you're doing this to try and rinse the NHS.
How does it make you feel? You know, when you've gone through that process, how does it make you feel?
It's like ages. Like they said they wanted to do a phone appointment. I don't do phones very well. It's quite widely known to me. Most people know that I don't use the phone very often. They said, "Oh, well, we'll do a phone appointment." I was like, "I won't cope." Yeah, the only answer I'll be is hi, and I'll just mute myself. Literally, I won't say anything for the whole conversation. And they're like, "Oh, well, then we can't process your application. You'll just have to do it again and again and again." And I'm like, so I had to get somebody involved and said, "This person can't do this because of this. We'll go for this." And they're, "Oh, I don't think she'll meet the criteria for this." And I'm like, what?
Last time, so when I did mine, however long ago it was, like a few months ago. Literally afterwards I cried, and then I had a panic attack because I didn't have a job at the time. And so I was saying to my partner, what am I going to do? Because I have to pay for like several loads of like medications. Obviously I've got to pay for food. I've got to make sure if something breaks, I've got to be able to fix it. In my clothes, you know, I'm going to need new clothes, you know, all this kind of thing. Yeah. And I was literally sobbing to my partner and saying, I literally don't know what to do. And this is for an extra, you know, £60 a week. Like it makes you feel just not human. It just makes you feel so degraded.
It sounds like they're really trying to get you to jump through hoops for a very little amount, and actually just sounds very, very unfair. I mean, I've not had any personal experience of that, but it sounds like quite a traumatizing and stressful experience for a very little. I mean, I guess it goes back to, but you're talking about £60 a week, you know, but it's all right for all the MPs to have how much expenses, you know, where's the balance? It's just
like literally in the past I've literally had to make a decision to whether to get a tooth removed or to have a root canal, and I've not been able to get the root canal because it's too expensive. So I've literally been like, I'm just going to lose a tooth instead. So I think like when you are like dealing with that kind of like pressure, because you always think like I have to save up every like penny that I can get, because if they suddenly decide you don't deserve to have this, they can send me a letter tomorrow and say no, like you can't have it. And then what am I going to do if I need to get my tooth done, if I need any of these things, like how am I going to be able to do that? So it really is. And if you're a person who can't work because of your disability, that £60 is really not going to save your life necessarily, you know.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, it's like obviously yourself, Georgia, and Laurel have had experience with this, but there's so many more people out there that are going through sort of similar things, which is actually really, really sad to think that you're all being made to feel, you know, so but you're not just reliant on it, because you are reliant on it, but you know what I mean, that pressure of whether it may be taken away or not is
like after 3 years they might just say, oh no, you don't get it anymore, and they don't get it. And sometimes they take it off people and then giving it back to them, and it's just like you're just trying to like say to disabled people, you're not disabled enough to get it. Really annoying. Like I've been told before at school, like I was in that school, I had just at the time I just had the dyslexia diagnosis. I was trying to join the trampoline group, and they said, oh, you're not disabled enough because you only have dyslexia, which really pissed me off at the time.
Oh, Laurel, that's awful.
It is all designed to try not to pay any money out, isn't it? It's like any benefits now. It's all designed around that. But also it sort of filters into the world of work as well. So if you're not well at work, it's designed to get you back before you may be ready to go back. You know, so sometimes illnesses or injuries take a while to recover. And I remember when they changed from the sick note to the fit note. So your doctor had a little box now where they've got to fill in what you can do. And years ago I had a bit of surgery, right? And I had to have some time off, but I had to take my fit note in. So my boss was fine with the fit note, but it went to human resources, didn't it? And they phoned me up and they said, I've got your fit note. I said, great. So, but the box that the doctor fills in to say what you can do is empty. I said, that's correct. And they said, well, why? I said, because I can't do anything. And it just didn't compute.
Yeah.
You know, that I said that it's empty because I can't do anything. They said, oh no, the doctor's got to fill it in. I said, fine. So I phoned the doctor up, I got on quite well with. I said, in that box, can you put Pete can't do anything? And he laughed. He said, yeah. So just put that in. Pete can't do anything. Sent it back and they were fine with that. But it's that mentality, isn't it? Trying to either catch you out. You know, I think disabilities, people don't believe you. But you're the one with the disability. You're the one who knows best, surely. You know.
And it's like proper trying to make you feel like you're a criminal because you're disabled.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Like just trying to get stuff for university, like even at university they said, oh well, you're not disabled. Like I've had like so many conversations with university about things, and they're like, oh well, I need some proof, and I'm like, well, just go and talk to the disabled team. Like, I'm not going to name them. I'm just going to call them disabled team. And they're, oh, well, it's going to take a while. I was like, well, then just give me what I want. Like, all I was asking for was I had an exam coming up. I had an exam arrangement, which is a reader and a scribe for me. And they weren't going to give it to me because they hadn't told anyone. I was like, if you don't give me a scribe, just give me a reader and give me the extra time I'm allowed. And that's all I will take. And that's literally what they ended up giving me. And didn't give me a scribe. Didn't really bother me. Because it was just a clickboxing episode, but literally I had to literally continuously going back and say, remember, I have to have this. I have to have this.
Well, it just sounds like it's a constant battle for you. Yeah, absolutely, Georgia. It's a constant battle. It's a constant fight. And actually, should you have to be doing that? You know, constantly proving that you have a disability to people to make them believe you or make them. That's not right.
Just to get support at university, you have to go through DSA, which is the student version of. Which is now PIP, which used to be DLA, which is the Disability Living Allowance, which turned into PIP. Literally, I had to prove that I was dyslexic. I had to go and get a new report that I hadn't had one since I was like 3 or something. I had to go to see an educational psychologist. I had to get re-tested for dyslexia and get retested for dyspraxia, which is a bit odd when it's coordination related. I had a whole like 30-page report about it, and then they said, "Oh, well, until we get this report, we can't do anything." So I had to send them the pages to come back to me, and then it took me a whole uni year to get more of my support in.
Yeah, it's not These
good. Are the dangers of privatisation, aren't they? The dangers of anything being privatised.
Yeah.
If you're interfering with the amount of profit that can be made, because you know, Laurel and Georgia, you're costing more, aren't you, than if it was me? So it cuts the profit. These are the dangers. These are the dangers of it, and people should wake up to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, I think on that note, I think we could carry on talking about this all day. It's a very emotive subject, especially when we've got 2 members of the team who it's directly affecting. It's a really interesting conversation, and for me, it really opened my eyes because I've never had to go through anything like that. And actually, feel bad for you guys. That is such a struggle for you to just get what you actually deserve and you should have. But we've gone over time, so it is time to call it a day this morning, guys. Loved that conversation. We didn't even we were going to try and touch on university because that's something else we really want to talk about. So all that means is Pal and Khadija, you have to come back now.
Yeah.
I know you said you were, but you have to now because we didn't even get to touch on the subject that we want you to tell us all about. So
sorry guys.
You guys about
all right. Lauren will be like, guys, we're going to be talking about university on this day, and we'll be like, hey, Lauren, we're coming.
So
I'd be really I'd be really interested in what you've got to say about the university experience. So you like Jasmin said, you do need to come back, and if you do come back, I'll promise to shut up and just listen. Because I've genuinely
make sure that we have Pete. We'll be like, Pete, they're coming this day. And my schedule.
I really want to know, because obviously my experience is completely different to yourself. Things move on. From where I'm sitting, it just if I was your age, I probably wouldn't get back into carry on with education. It's just too much. It's expensive and it seems like a lot of hassle, So I admire if you're embarking on a program of study like you are. I admire you for that.
You're the first person that said that so far.
Oh, how nice is that to hear?
I think, before we go, I think it's like nurses, isn't it? I think students get a bad press.
Oh, they so do.
I don't think people understand. Don't think people understand the energy, the dedication, the things you have to put up with.
Yeah.
To go through, to study, because really what you're doing is, your study helps the country, doesn't it? Helps us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Helps us.
And also, I mean, the other point which I think is really important is that they've been forgotten about in this pandemic. They really have, and that's what we want to really touch on as well, because they, you haven't been supported. You haven't, that's the whole new conversation. But that's why we really want you guys to come back, and definitely Pete, you've got to come back as well, because it's a really interesting discussion to have. Yeah, definitely. And you guys need to have your say and put it out there. How it's not right what's been going on for you guys. So, right. Well, on that note, thank you for an amazing tea and toast this morning, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We really enjoyed that. If you have watched this morning and you think to yourself, I really want to be on the Tea and Toast panel next week with Jasmin and Georgia and the gang, just drop us an email. You can contact us at theyard@communitycourtyard.org, or you can contact us on any of our social medias. On that note, Georgia, what did you want to say?
I was going to say, or you can comment in the comment box below, and then we'll message you.
Yeah, yes. Definitely.
We'll slip into your DMs.
Yeah, we will do. Georgia will. All right, guys. Thank you so much this morning.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.